Well, this is Stuart, Victor Echo 9, Charlie Foxtrot, and I'm back with another video. I had a phone call this afternoon, and it was from a friendly ham, a guy I know that I'm a good friend with off the air. And we got talking about contesting, because I'm in the middle of the Italian contest. But thanks for your call. I needed to take a break anyways. And he said, yeah, I'm going out to do a POTA. We got talking about POTA contests, the usual debate. And we had about a 15-minute conversation about it. It was really intriguing. And I think at the end of the phone call, we agreed to disagree. He was going on about contesting and how they clog up the bands. And I said, yeah, but it's only on the weekends. And there's only 5 or 6 really significant ones that clog up either the SSB bands or CW independently. And there's a few that go kind of both CW and SSB. And then there's a bunch of these country contests like the Italian one this weekend that are somewhat busy, but they don't take up all the frequencies. And I kind of made a comment under my, not under my skin. I said it out loud. I said, have you ever spun around the 20 meter band, particularly 20 meters? That's the biggest offending band, I'll call it, because 15 and 10 are very quiet. And 10's so big that it doesn't really make a difference. But 20 meters, have you dialed around 20 meters on any given weekend when a contest isn't going on? And what do you hear? You hear every 2 or 3 kilocycles, CQ POTA. So this is where our debate happened. I said, POTA is just as bad as contesting for clogging up the bandwidth. And he said, no. I said, yeah. And I said, what's even worse about POTA in some occasions that most of them are using, vertical-based antennas that are mounted on the ground or wires in trees or, some sort of compromised antenna, and they're hard to hear sometimes. Not all, but some. Some guys run QRP. You know what it's like, right? And I said, with contests, most people are like me. They run contests from their home station with a hex beam antenna or a beam or a significant amount of power. There's some guys that do run 100 watts, but nobody really runs very low. I won't say nobody, but some people do QRP, but most people run at least 100 watts and have some sort of decent antenna system at home so that you can hear them a little bit better. And I said to him, look, POTA is, we can agree to disagree on this, but POTA just clogs up the frequencies just as much as contests do on any given weekend, And when there's contests and big contests, I feel the pain of the POTA guys saying, they get squeezed out. They can go work the work bands and other modes. I get that. That's cool. Contesters, we can only go on the bands that are, standard contest bands, 80, 40, 20, 15, and 10, maybe 6. At least you POTA guys got the work bands you can fall back on. And so I would say equally as offending, especially on 20 meters, for clogging up the bands. And that's where we left it. Says he agreed, I agreed with myself, he agreed with himself. We didn't agree, but we're still friends. And that's the cool thing about it. We had a good debate about it, and we're still friends. We agreed to go for a beer tonight. That's why I'm not contesting right now, because I'm going to have a beer with my buddy. And we'll probably have this conversation over a few beers, and then I'll come back and finish off the Italian contest a little later when the band's a little bit more quieter. Anyway, let me know what you think. I'm not that big of a POTA guy anymore, and I don't go out on weekends anymore because they are just clogged up like sardines in a can. I go out during the week now where it's a little quieter, a little more sane. But let me know what you think. I think POTA is just as guilty as contesters for clogging up the band, especially 20 meters on the weekends. And if we need proof, maybe my next video I'll go spin around the dial and we can just hear every POTA station. And even today, working the Italian contest, I was on 14,278. I had that frequency going really hard. I made a number of QSOs. And once I finished, I looked at the POTA spot page and there was a Poor Ontario POTA station on my same frequency. Obviously, he wasn't hearing me and I wasn't hearing him. But what contacts was he making? Because all the contacts were coming back to me. So go figure. All right, I'm Stuart, Victor Echo 9, Charlie Foxtrot. Let me know in the comments below and be respectful. You guys that think you're keyboard warriors and all tough guys because, you're on the keyboard and you're not talking to me face to face, be respectful. I have an opinion. You have an opinion. I respect your opinion, and you should respect other people's opinions. We'll see you guys later. Time for dinner and a few beers with my buddy. We're going for some wings and beer. See you later.